Hey everybody, what's going on?
Yep.
It's Monday, it's a Haunting Mondays. You guys love these, we love these.
Yeah, this is basically our favorite episode.
Spock is moving by himself.
Yeah, I noticed. Did he move over a little bit? Because I feel like I'm going off into the next video.
I don't know. I don't know if Pookie did that or I don't know. I haven't been in here, so.
All right, let me move you over a little bit.
Well, wait. I'm just okay.
Oh, you still in there? Yeah, you're still in there.
I'm in the same
I'm
place
not in
I'm
there.
always at. You're the one that's. Although, like I said.
It seems like we've drifted this way.
Well, I don't know. I didn't move the camera or nothing like that. Hey, everybody, look at Trey's like a new
Yeah, everybody's becoming members.
membership, and like Mango became a little membership. Welcome to Flashbulbs. Yeah, that's
Thank you very much.
There's only one tier, and it's called Flashbulbs.
Flashbulbs,
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah, I just put it there. Like, I felt so bad because Trey like put a message at a comment under one of the videos, and he's like, I'm really a dummy, but I can't figure out like how to join because I know you said. Yeah. And I was just kind of like, oh, I guess I'm the dummy because I filled all the stuff out. And then like there's a little like in YouTube there's a little thing at the top that says, okay, turn it on, and I forgot to push that, so it wasn't on, but it's on now. So, you know. What I mean.
You so memberships are a brand new thing here on.
It's not brand new, but I mean,
how long?
They've been doing it a while.
We didn't know about it. Okay. So
I mean, I did, but I just never got around to doing it.
It's $2.99 a month.
I think that's what it is.
Right, I think.
Yeah. Now, like I said, there's only one tier, and it's just called Flashbulbs. So yeah, Tom Sykes says this episode is legendary.
Yeah.
On a haunting roster. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be like the best one. We've covered it. We covered it back on episode 39 before we even had a video component.
Yeah.
And we also did an episode, I think, where we interviewed Craig Naring, I think his name is, from Fox Paranormal or whatever, who've done a lot of like investigation around the ruins and stuff. But we just, I don't know. It's like we like this episode, and we hadn't done it on this one, and we have a lot of new subscribers since then that maybe didn't, hear the old one. So, and like I said, I didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of research, so I wanted to do one that was kind of like a little bit more familiar. So we would have some stuff to talk about. And this is Tom's favorite episode. So.
Yeah, I think it's the best episode.
I think it is, too, probably.
The two pilot episodes were pretty good, too. The one with Mr. Gordy and the one with the kid with the cancer in the funeral home.
With the kid with the cancer.
Yeah, the kid with the cancer in the funeral home. The Snedekers.
Yeah, the Snedeker.
That was a good episode, too. But this is, I think this is the best one. And then second to this would have been Hungry Ghosts, I think.
Maybe we'll do that. I mean, we've done that. We covered that a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That might be another one worth doing because I really like that episode too.
Yeah.
Trey says Mammoth Mountain's the best episode. One of them, anyways. I know they should. I kind of feel
I talked to him. That was years ago.
Yeah, years ago, like they did call you about doing an episode. Well, it was a haunting, right? Or was it Paranormal Witness?
Haunting.
Oh, okay.
They wanted to do it, but Lois and Red didn't want to appear on camera.
Yeah. Yeah, they were being a little.
They were
weird.
Fucking, they weren't looking good. Fucking Lois had gotten fat. And fucking Red was not feeling well, and he ended up dying later. And their house was filled with fucking guitar cases and shit because Red had, over the years, I didn't know it, but Red had kind of became a hoarder of fucking famous guitars. He was a guitar teacher. He had some of Stevie Ray Vaughan's guitars. He lived out in California. Real. Wesley's got them all now. He had some of Eddie Van Halen's guitars. He had all kinds of famous rock stars' guitars. There's evidently a big trade in them.
Well, yeah.
I didn't realize that, but there's a big collector trade in it. And it was just guitar cases just stacked everywhere. And some of them were guys that weren't real well known, but some of them were, they're well known to, not to the public, but to guys that are, big into, like the fucking guitarist from fucking Quiet Riot. Maybe like one of his, I mean, like, I don't even know that dude's name, that kind of shit.
Tom Sykes says, the house they used in this episode was a little too nice to look abandoned, in my opinion. Yeah, I think we got into that maybe like before. The house they used on here like looks like a little bit slightly dumpy, but like still livable.
Looks like a southern plantation mansion kind of.
Whereas the real house, I mean, at least when they took a photograph of it, like I think when the Hinshaws first moved in, it looked significantly dumpier than it did on the show.
I think the photographs that they have or had on the internet of it were after they had moved out.
Yeah, see, I can't really figure that out because there is a photograph floating around out there where there's a couple people like in the doorway and they're kind of like waving, but I can't like tell who it is. So I don't know if it's just some random motherfuckers that are like, "Hey, Summerwind Mansion, it's haunted," because it's like kind of famous, or if that was a picture that the family took like when they moved in, like, "Hey, we're gonna fix this place up," you know what I mean? Because I kind of feel like it had to have looked like not that bad. I mean, at least the way they were talking about it. Now they did say that it looked the daughter that was on the show, April, she said, I think she was 8 or 9, like when they moved into the house, and she said she actually used the word decrepit. She said it looked decrepit.
She said she couldn't imagine anybody living in it.
Yeah. So maybe it did look really bad.
Yeah, because they're talking about the 70s, and the photographs, it looks like they're from the early 80s, maybe 83, 85, that period. And no, it's a fucking dump. It's fucked up. It's not painted. It looks like just raw wood. The architecture really sucked. It looked like a cheap knockoff of some kind of Bavarian fucking hunting lodge mixed with a, I don't know, I don't know. There's no way to describe it. Matter of fact, the guy says it was like a mixture of a bunch of architectural styles. You couldn't put your finger on it. It just looked bad, if you ask me. And looking at it, I think it was made with pretty kind of substandard wood, because the wood looked like it was warped, water damaged. It wasn't built to last, I don't think. I think it was made in the 20s, right? 30s?
It was either 1916 or 1918.
1918.
It was built. And the thing about it was that I kind of feel like, I mean, the people that built it, which we'll get into in a little bit, but you'd think it's in Wisconsin. Yeah. And you would think that, you know, because it snows a lot there and stuff like that, that they would try to at least build it, you know, up to standards so that it would last through the weather and everything. But I don't know. It's just, it was hard to tell because I never saw any photos of it when it looked good.
I did.
You know?
They had some photos of it, I think, for both black and white photos.
Did they?
It looked good, but it, you know, it was white.
Yeah. From
what I remember. And it was, but, you know, it was in terrible condition when they moved into it. Nobody wanted it. And it was just filled with debris inside. It looked like squatters were in there, you know, and people kicked holes in walls and busted sinks down, and the materials that it was made out of looked cheap. It looked like something out of an old camper or something. It looked like a camping lodge, a really big camping lodge.
I think that's what it was built as, a fishing lodge. Yeah. Like kind of a fancy fishing lodge, resort type thing.
Yeah, but it didn't look like it was built to last. It looked like it was fucking made out of fucking cheap material, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Because 1920s or early 1910s, that's no big deal. There are houses all around from the 1800s. They still look great.
Yeah, that are still.
So I think it was just they used cheap wood, untreated wood or something. Because it looked like things had been warping and bowing.
Zach said, I'd love to know the address of that house on the show, because it's a gorgeous looking home and always looked like something in Southern California to me. Yeah, I mean, the house they used on the show looked like it was in pretty good shape. It looked like they just kind of like, well, let's like throw some junk out in the front, so it kind of looks like it's in shitty condition.
Yeah, it also looks like it's on a road too, and it looks like there's other houses near it. The real Summerwind is like a lodge, and it's out in the woods.
Not anymore. It's not, because not anymore, the ruins of it. I was watching a thing from a couple of years ago where there was like a paranormal team. Yeah. And they went out there to the ruins and they were doing like the audio and everything. Mm-hmm. And the girl, the woman that was doing it, she's like, well, you can't be too loud and stuff like that because there are actually houses that neighbors, are pretty close. Yeah. So she like turned around like that, and there was like a big massive cabin like just right there. Because when it was originally built, it was built on an 80-acre plot but as time went on, like parcels of land got sold off, you know what I mean, like to pay to keep the house running. So so it doesn't have that much land around it anymore. But now it's pretty much, I mean, where the house used to be, because all that's left there, I don't know if you know, is like the chimneys and like just some debris and shit, like the basement. And then it's mostly just kind of like, you know, grown over.
Yeah.
But there are houses like right around there, like cabins and shit, because it's on a lake. So.
Yeah, I saw the an overhead view of it from what do you call it, Google Earth, a long time ago. There are houses on either side of it, and behind it is a lake. But from the old photos of the '80s of the outside of it, and the exterior, it was in a clearing in the thicket of a bunch of pine trees. I don't know how old the houses are around it now. They might have been from the 90s or the 80s. I don't know. But one of the comments I saw online when they were talking about it, people that knew the area, they didn't think it was burned down by a lightning strike. They think that's bullshit. That it was the people of that area went down there and fucking torched it because it was attracting teenagers and shit.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that too. And pretty much like every other video you see about it says about the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, officially it was lightning, but...
They went in there and torched it and got rid of it.
But
it was just a hulk at that point. And it was kind of it was an attraction for a bunch of fucking teenagers wanting to fucking spray pentagrams and shit and get high in there. And, you know, and it was bothering the neighbors, so they just got rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, Hugo said, yeah, I wanted to mention this because Lisa Loring, the OG Wednesday Addams, died.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Guy was like, yeah, I think I met her at a horror convention several years ago. But yeah, I just saw that like about an hour ago.
She was what, probably in her 70s?
I don't know, actually.
60s?
I mean, she was a little girl, like, on that show, but...
Probably in her 60s.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
It happens to everybody.
Well, I know that.
Yeah, it happens to everybody.
Really?
Yeah. Can't avoid it. 64,
So straight, that's
yeah.
how old she was. Yeah, I was like, I knew she couldn't be that old because she was, you know, just a kid.
Yeah.
When she started that out. Tom Sykes says 69. Everybody else says 64. I don't know. I don't know which one it is. But yeah. So
we got Jenny dug up a few new details about this case too, so it's going to be a good show.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a few. And it's not like I dug all that because I didn't have a lot of time today. But like I said, that's kind of like why I wanted to do a case we were more familiar with. But yeah, I watched a couple other things about it. There is actually like a couple other good videos about this, but a lot of them are just kind of like repeating stuff that was on a haunting episode, which is probably what we're gonna do. But I'm also I found some stuff on another website, and there was some stuff that even the Hinshaw family, because there were other families that lived there too, like the people that built it and stuff, that also allegedly supposedly like reported paranormal activity also. But, you know, the haunting episode was just about the Hinshaw family. And there was even some stuff that they supposedly saw that they didn't put on the show for whatever reason. I'm not really sure why, because one of the things I was like, oh, that would have been really creepy. I don't know why they didn't put that on. And the dad that bought the house afterward, like, he wrote a book about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of the stuff comes from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of have my own theories about what had happened. I remember thinking that this may have been a real paranormal case because it's two stories.
Yeah.
The haunting, and then the dad comes in and tries to investigate it and rebuy the house.
Right.
I've always kind of suspected that maybe something paranormal had happened there. But then the dad wanted the house, and I think he thought he'd be able to make money off of doing ghost tours because he wanted to make it a hotel.
Yeah, or like a B&B or something, yeah.
Right, and he might have played up some of the ghost angles. But, so it's kind of like two different things. Two different stories in this story. The first one I believe, I'm not so sure I believe the second one that much. Or it might have been just maybe the second part of the story, or the second story might be fairly accurate, but just kind of exaggerated a little bit, like the whole land deed angle and hypnosis, but it is an interesting story and it's a real good episode.
I noticed too, like while I was taking notes, because I was actually like writing the notes down by hand, like while we were watching it, because I knew that I wasn't gonna have time to like just rewatch the episode and type it today. So I was like watching it last night, and I was like, sometimes it's easier to take notes on the episodes because like not much happens. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, so I have time to write stuff down, and then just like somebody walks down a hallway forever. And so I was like, oh, okay, thank you. But this one, so much stuff happens that I was just like, I was writing like really fast because there's like always something going on. They didn't really like fuck around too much in this one. There was like always something interesting
watching
happening.
This one's like watching a good movie.
Yeah.
It's like watching a good movie.
It really is. I mean...
And it's kind of, there's something about this one that's kind of compelling, you know. Makes me think that at least the first part of it happened, you know. And yeah, maybe they kind of spice it up for the program, but still, it's a good telling of it. It's just it's a good episode.
Yeah. All right, so you want to talk about the episode? Yep. I got all my little notes right here, and then I got more notes over there.
Good.
Because you know how I do. I got to have all of it.
All right.
All of it. And like I said, I didn't really have time to type this today. So yeah. So this house, let's just talk about the Hinshaws first, because that's what the episode was about, and then we'll kind of go back and talk about the other people that lived there before and like how it got built and stuff like that. So yeah, this house is West Bay Lake, Wisconsin is where it is. So they move into Summerwind in 1969, the Hinshaws. Now apparently Ginger Hinshaw, who was on the show, much older lady, she, I think even at that point, like, the house was known as kind of like, ooh, the haunted house around town. You know what I mean? It was kind of like one of those, you know, famous for being haunted, like, places in Wisconsin, right? So Ginger was with a friend of hers, and they're like, ooh, we need to go back and go and look at this haunted house or whatever. And Ginger, apparently, she said that she really, really was drawn to it, like, immediately. She said it gave off this really weird vibe, like you wanted to help it or you wanted to like rescue it. And it's weird because like her dad kind of said the same thing like later on. So I was like, I don't know if they were trying to imply that like maybe the house had some kind of like weird power over people where it was just kind of like, hey, come and live in me, and then, you know, so I can fuck you over. You know what I mean? I'm not really sure if that's what they were implying, but she was basically saying that she got completely obsessed when she saw it. She's like, I had to have that house. She's like, I just wanted to fix it. I wanted to, you know.
So you get an obsession over the house.
Yeah, she said she felt sorry for it, and she wanted to like fix it all.
She did have obsessions over the house, about the colors and everything, trying to take it back exactly what way it was.
Yeah, and that's like I said, that was something that they brought up like more than once, and she admitted that too. She was like, I had to have it. You know what I mean? She's like, even though it obviously probably didn't look all that great. So yeah. Now, her husband at the time, Arnold, Mr. Where is that raccoon himself? Yeah. Maybe we're gonna be using that audio clip a lot on this episode. But yeah, so he owned like a construction company or something like that. He was like a contractor. And so she brought him to see it. And he was like, yeah, we could probably do something with that. I don't think they were going to open it. Because I think later on, like, when her dad bought it, like, I think he was going to turn it into, like, a bed and breakfast or a hotel or something. I mean, they were just going to live in it. Like, Ginger and Arnold were just going to live in it. Because they had 6 kids, I think they said. I thought on the show they said 4, but then everywhere else I saw that they had 6. So I'm assuming they had 6 kids. One of them, April, who I believe was 8 or 9 at the time, she was the only, like, adult you know, kid that was on there talking about it. So even though Ginger is like super into the house and she said she just loved it immediately and got obsessed with it and everything, April, she said, I did not like that house like from the first time I saw it. She, like, it looked real decrepit and like dusty and gross, and it's like I really did not want to be there. It gave me like bad vibes. So they've moved in. Took them about a month, and they got all moved in and everything. So, like I said, I guess you could live there. I mean, because they were living in it. So, Arnold and Ginger, like, work on the house. They're doing a lot of the work themselves, because, like I said, Arnold is a contractor. And Ginger's in there, like, she was talking about all the stuff she was doing, like all the painting, and she put in the, the new fireplace and all this other kind of stuff. She's like, but the weird thing was that they noticed that they would call, service workers and stuff like that, like, to come out and fix stuff or come and look at stuff and everything. And they're just like, yeah, sure, we'll do that. And then they're like, where you live? And then they say where they live, and they're like, yeah, we're kind of, like, busy and we can't really do that right now. You know what I mean? So they thought it was, like, really weird that people kept blowing them off once they found out what house they lived in. Now, we speculated before that we don't necessarily know if that's just because all these service workers were, like, superstitious and they're like, we're not going in the haunted house. No, thank you. Or if they were just like, well, that place is a piece of shit and I don't even really want to deal with it. So it could have been that. Because like I said, I'm not sure exactly what the condition of the house was in 1969, 1970 when they were calling these people to work on this
shit. The way he put it, he said, yeah, I'd get some teams that would go, we don't normally handle something that big. Maybe we can put you in next year, that kind of thing. I think what the contractors wanted is they wanted to have, like, short, high profit jobs. They go in, they work 4 or 5 days, and then they move on to the next one, and they probably end up making more profit over time. They look at a big old house like that, and they're like, oh man, there's so much work there, we'll bleed those people dry in about 3 weeks, and then it'll be all over, and the job won't even be 1/8 done. That's probably what it was. They're like, these people don't have the money to fix that. That's probably what it was.
That might have been, yeah, because one of the things that I was watching another show about it, and or like an interview, you're reading an interview about it. What's up, Pokey? Or like listening to a podcast about it, and the guy was like, that was one thing that a lot of people like would move into the house. Everybody would come and see this, like, ooh, they all this potential, like all the stuff they wanted to do with it, but it's like they would never realize like how much money it was going to take, like, to fix the shit up. You know what I mean? I think they were just kind of like, everyone was like, ooh, I can do this and that and the other.
It'd been cheaper just to buy a new house.
That's what I mean. It's probably like a lot of times when it's something like that, unless it's something super, super historical and you're going to get, you know what I mean, and you want it fixed up. I get that, but it's just like, if it's just a house, that's just a house. Yeah,
big old fucking cabin, really. Looks like a little temporary ski lodge turned into like a mansion-sized ski lodge, really. What it looked like to me.
Yeah, I just kind of feel like at that point you might as well just like knock it down and start over.
It just didn't look like it was built to last, and the style didn't look that good.
Well, I mean, now you don't have to worry about it because now it's like gone, except for the chimneys, because that was the only thing that was made out of stone or brick or whatever the hell. So yeah. Now, one day, while Ginger is working in the house, she finds, allegedly, the house's original blueprints, like stuck in a closet or in a wall.
It's in a closet.
Something.
It's in a closet.
Yeah, and because I'm thinking of like other things where like I saw another interview and they said, oh, it was like in the wall, like she found it in the wall. But like I said, I don't know. Now, apparently, this blueprint was wrapped around a peace pipe, which ties in with a story that they supposedly found out later on. And she said from finding that, she said, then I started to become super obsessed with putting the house back exactly the way it was before. And she said, particularly like the paint colors and all this other kind of stuff. Like she said on the show, it's like, oh, I went through like 11 different paint colors to get like the perfect one and stuff. Although, I don't think they mentioned this on A Haunting, but on one of the other things that I read, one of the things they said was that, and I'm guessing this was in the dad's book, was that, yeah, she was doing all the stuff with the paint colors, but they would paint the walls, and then, like, the old color would keep bleeding back through. You know what I mean? They couldn't get anything to take. Yeah. And so, I don't know. It's like, to me, it's like, I don't know if that was what was going on, but I was like, that really doesn't seem like paranormal to me.
No, they did something wrong.
That just seems like maybe you didn't prime it, or I don't really know. I'm not really sure like what color you were trying to paint over.
Some kind of old-fashioned paint, not mixing well with new style.
Maybe that's what it was, or maybe the walls were red or something like that, which because like still bleeds through, even though you put. Because I tried to paint over like a red wall one time, and like you had to put like I think I had to put 3 or 4 coats of primer on that shit, and it was still looked kind of pink. But yeah. So she's putting it back exactly the way it is. Now, Arnold, like I said, Mr. Where's That Raccoon? Yeah. He,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to do it. I was going to do it. I got to find it.
Where is that raccoon?
The actor that plays that guy is awesome in this. Go out there and find that raccoon right now. I don't care. I don't care.
He's so angry.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah.
I mean, he leaned into it, and I was like, I respect that decision.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a memorable performance, that's for sure.
And they got that shot of him with the damn camera zooming in on him. He's looking all stressed out, going, "What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?" It was fucking cool. The fucking ghosts keep coming in on him. That was fucking great. What do you want? But what's funny is, you know, that was kind of like, that's kind of like the way the Bad House was. It was kind of, that's kind of the way it felt. Yeah.
Oh, look, Mango used my little "Where's that raccoon" emoji.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the Tom one is, I think it's you put : Tom's Blaine : and I think that's what it is. I can't remember what I named it. I think it was Tom's Blaine. I tried to name everything like short so you could like remember. And then like one of them is Pookie, like that's Pookie sighting.
Yeah.
And what's the other one? Smell of Sanctity. That's right.
Smell of Sanctity.
It's like a little rose. That's the Tom's Blaine one. See, it's like, look, it's you.
Let me see. Hold on.
Look, he even has like a little black wife beater on.
I can't really see it. It's too small.
It says Tom's Blaine.
It looks like a little tiny geometric shape on mine.
It's like, yeah, it's a little tiny Tom.
Okay.
It's a little tiny Tom.
Cool.
Well, you can probably see it a lot better, like on a big.
Yeah.
Because you just have like a little bitty thing. So Arnold seemed like he was kind of into it at first, like helping out and everything. But before too long, he just loses interest in shit. And much like Tom's doing right now.
No, I'm thinking.
I just thought that was funny that like the second I said that, you were like turning around like, what?
Well, I got a cat there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he just like loses interest and just starts like leaving jobs unfinished and stuff. He's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, she said he'd do things and he wouldn't do things and just walked around looking at stuff.
I think I even wrote that in my notes. I said he just walks around that room looking at shit. That's what I wrote in my
looking out standing on the veranda and looking outside and then looking back in. It became creepy. And then he stopped talking to him, wouldn't talk to him.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
The motherfucker went evil.
Yeah, and like I said, the actor did a good job, gotta say. So Ginger said that she started to notice some minor paranormal activity in the sense where, I don't know how minor this is, but chairs kind of moving by themselves, like when her back was turned, shit like that. April, the daughter, she said she always felt watched. Ginger said she felt like that too, like she always felt like somebody was in the room with her. But she loves the house so much that she doesn't want to believe that it's haunted. They did a scene in the reenactment here where she was in that creepy hallway, like the hallway of doom there, and she's just like walking through there, and I guess they kind of had it where she heard like breathing, or you know that noise they always do on a haunting where it's like that kind of noise, like like so she kind of heard that, but I don't know if she saw anything at that point. She does see something later in the hallway.
She sees apparitions twice, at least twice.
Yeah, so like several people did report seeing apparitions in this particular house. And the weird thing about it is that some of the ones they reported seeing, like I don't think they showed it on the show or like what the people described it looked like in other sources.
Okay.
But you know,
we can get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Like I said, we're just kind of covering the show at this point.
Only here on 13 o'clock do we have the description of the ghost.
Well, not only because I got it from somewhere.
Let me just hype this.
He's trying to be
on YouTube. It's a YouTube exclusive.
Yeah. Okay. So weeks go by, and here's the fun part, because Arnold starts to turn into like Mega Douche, right? Yeah. Mega Douche 2000.
Yeah.
He just gets really withdrawn. His personality completely changes. He starts sleeping all day, playing that fucking organ all night.
Yeah, and they go, stop doing it. I like it. No, I want to. I stop playing it. Will you please stop doing it? No, I like it. He's awesome.
Yeah, that was a little bit. Well, the first
sinister
one,
ass organ music that he's sucking.
I know. I think I read in my notes. I said his organ playing goes all Carnival of Souls.
Yeah. when I first saw this, I saw it on cable TV. I guess that was around 2008, around that time, and it spooked me out, man. And I saw it for the first time. It was up in Sorrento Springs. You know, Sorrento Springs, like going to the club.
Yeah.
In that townhouse. I used to live in this area, fucking over what, 15 years ago, 14 years?
Yeah.
And it was nice new place called Sorrento Springs. It still looks nice. But I was upstairs and had cable installed and everything, and during the daytime is when I was running that barn. And as I got done with the feeding and fucking got all the horses fucking settled, and then went back home to chill out until the evening to fucking bring them all back in, and I was watching haunting episodes. This is long before I met Jenny. And that episode, they would play them. I think it was on A&E. Was it?
Was it on? No, I don't think it was on A&E. Well, it was on Destination America.
Maybe Destination America.
And it was on Discovery before that, I think.
But they'd play them back to back, man. They'd play like 7 of them. And I saw that one, and it fucking spooked me out the whole rest of the day. That fucking, that damn organ. Like, I like it. Okay. No, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Fucking, I'm shutting the barn down, putting them up. Fucking, no, sun's going down. Fucking me thinking about that damn ghost, man.
And that dude playing that organ.
Yeah. Yeah, fucking spooked me out.
I don't think they mentioned this in the episode, but I think one of the reasons that he gave, apparently, for playing the organ all the time was that he thought that if he stopped, something really bad would happen.
Oh, he gave that reason?
Well, I don't know if he gave that reason or if like Ginger said that like in some other place. I don't think they mentioned that on the show though. But I heard that somewhere else. So like I said, that might have been her talking like in another interview or her dad's book or something like that.
All right.
But I heard that mentioned in another source that he thought that something bad would happen if he stopped.
Okay. So that's another dimension.
Another
dimension to that story. Okay. He was keeping the spirits at bay.
Yeah, I guess that's what he was doing. So that's why he was like up all night doing that shit. But the first thing that he started, because he did that, like he started that at first, but he just started getting like real angry. And one of the first things was that he was outside working on the house, and like 2 of the daughters were out on the porch like farting around with Barbies or whatever. And he's like, which one of you girls took my hammer? And they're like, why the fuck would we take your hammer? You know what I mean? Yeah. That they didn't say that because they were little kids, but you know what I mean? But that was what they meant. So why the fuck would we take your hammer? Well, somebody took it. It's not here anymore, blah, blah, blah. And he was just like wigging out about it. Yeah. What are you, blah, blah, blah. And he was like screaming at him about that shit. And then he goes in the house. Why is this window open? This window's always open. And it's like, Ginger's like, I don't fucking know. I didn't open it.
I want it closed.
Yeah, and it's like, apparently it used to open by itself all the time. Yeah. That's what they were saying. It's like, that window is always fucking open. Like, you can, she's like, I don't know. I didn't open it. And it's like, well, somebody's opening it. And it's like, she's like, fine, I'll just nail it shut just to get you to shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was that kind of thing. But yeah, they did say that window would like be open all the time. Like, there was no way you could keep it closed. So finally they had to nail it shut. So one of the other sources said that Arnold nailed it shut, but I don't really know, like, somebody nailed it shut anyway. So, yeah, so as we mentioned before, Arnold at that stage kind of stopped talking to everybody. And just sort of, like, walks around the rooms, like, staring at shit and, you know, leering and just, like, walking in the room and looking creepily at them. And they're just like, bro.
I want that job. I'm just like, you hire me, I come to your house, I walk around your house, and every time I see you, like, you know, get a scowl on my face.
Just stand there in the doorway. Yeah, keep with your arms crossed.
Keep y'all motivated, and then I walk away. 20 minutes later, I come back in and check. Looking at you like that. That'd be fucking awesome. It's crazy people paying me like $50,000 a year to do that.
Like snarling.
Yeah.
I mean, hey,
I need a mentally ill rich dude that does that.
I mean, some people will pay people to come over and snuggle with them, so it's like, I don't see why that would be any weirder.
You can have Ming the Merciless show up and just be mean to you without saying a word.
That's, you know what? Maybe there's a thing in that.
Yeah, put on my Ming the Merciless outfit.
Right. Somebody pay for that, I bet.
Yeah.
People pay for all kind of crazy shit. People pay for, like, girls used underwear.
Man, they'd want to beat off on you while you were doing that shit.
Well, that's probably... I mean, that'd be an occupational hazard, I'm afraid.
Dude, tell you, keep moving. Turn around. Swish your hips. Okay, look, we got to get back to the fucking shit, man. Taking this shit down.
Yeah, that's... Who did that? You did that. You did that.
On you.
Oh, okay.
I'm putting it on you.
He just blames me for everything. It's easier that way if everything's my fault. So
the show goes more smoothly.
Your life goes more smoothly. All right. So one day, Ginger hears what she called a strong male voice calling her name in the creepy hallway of doom.
Yeah.
So that is a pretty creepy hallway. I'm not gonna lie. So it keeps like saying her name over to us, which would be pretty freaky. Like if you were walking and said Ginger, it's like that, right? And so she turns around and she does actually see an apparition. She did say she saw an apparition, right? She saw.
No, when it said Ginger.
Yeah.
When she was going up the stairs, she just heard that. But
yeah.
She didn't see anything. And later, she was going down the hallway, and I think she heard it say Ginger, and she turned around and it passed through her. She saw it and it passed. She saw like they just showed us like smoke,
like
with
a
mist
face with sort of like a face on it,
kind of a face, and it went through her. And she said it just passed right through her. She
yeah,
seen a ghost,
which is pretty freaky.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's how it was shown in the episode.
Yeah.
Whether or not she actually said that, a lot of times there's a difference. They just do it for like they do the fucking action version of it. For all we know, it was at the end of the hallway and it didn't move through her at all or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that would still be scary.
It'd still be scary, yeah.
Like if it was standing there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's still seeing an apparition. So yeah, at this point in the episode, we get to Arnold going turbo douche, and this is the "Where is that raccoon?" Segment of the show.
Yeah, that raccoon's dead. That's where it is.
Well, now it is because of Arnold.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently what had happened was that the raccoon, they had a pet raccoon, and it got out. And whether or not this was the case, he blamed the girls for leaving its enclosure open, right? And, like, letting it escape. And so he's like, it's like nighttime, and he says to his wife, he's like, well, they're going to go out in the woods and find that raccoon right now. And she's like, it's the middle of the night. What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't care.
I don't care. They're going to find that raccoon.
Yeah, go find that raccoon.
Yeah. Where is that raccoon?
Yeah.
So he goes and finds it. Apparently, I don't know if the girls found it or he found it, but he killed it in front of them.
Yeah, terrible.
And the daughter said that too.
Yeah. Fucking, that dude needed a serious ass whipping. I'd have whipped that motherfucker's ass.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's...
It came back and he kills it? What kind of,
Either that or he went out specifically to find it so he could bring it back and kill it. Like, who the fuck does that? Crazy people,
it's just, you fucking crazy.
Assholes, that's who.
I mean, just going out having a good time,
That's what I mean. And the thing about
They're
it is,
friendly little creatures.
Yeah.
They're real friendly, yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine the kind of person that would, like, kill a little animal like that. Just to be, like, a douche.
Yeah, to punish some girl? Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, their pet. For Christ's sake,
terrible.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, you need doing it for food. That's one thing. And if it's not your pet, you know what I mean? It's a wild animal,
Right.
And it's I got to get some food, man. Fucking not making the groceries. The shit, hell yeah. But no, just to make a point on a pet, and it's a little girl's pet. Man, you need a serious ass weapon. And as an innocent little raccoon.
Yeah, he's probably like...
As a pet raccoon, probably, they beg.
With their little hands and stuff.
They beg and put on shows and shit.
I'm bumming myself out.
Yeah.
I was trying to make it funny, but it's not funny. It's like I said, they got those little hands, and it's like, oh, that's terrible. But yeah, so Ginger is just kind of like trying to maintain some normalcy, which good luck with that. But she apparently invites some friends over one night, a couple that she knows, and she goes in the kitchen to get some cheese and crackers, because it's the 70s, y'all, and that's what you did. You went and got cheese and crackers for your friends. And while she's in the kitchen, she hears somebody say her name again, like, somebody's name. Like, the man's voice. So then she hears her friend screaming in the living room, and she runs in there, and the woman, she saw, they saw an apparition, in the corner of the living room. And she screamed, and then they just got the fuck out. They were like, yeah, no, bye. Nice to visit you, but you have ghosts in your fucking house, and we're not having it. So, yeah, they just ran right the fuck out of there. So, yeah. So, at this point, like I said, Arnold's organ playing, this is what I wrote. Arnold's organ playing goes all Carnival of Souls. Yeah. And he plays all goddamn night. That's what I wrote. Keeping everyone awake. Ginger tells him to cut it out, but no, he likes it. He likes playing with his organ. And doesn't give a shit about keeping everybody awake. People that got to work in the morning. People that got to go to school in the morning. He's just like keeping him. I don't care. I like it. Yeah. That's what he says. And at this point, April, who, like I said, was about 9 years old, I think, when this was going on, she said she really got the impression that Arnold hated all of them and hated Ginger in particular.
Yeah. And she said he wasn't like that before. It just was this way at the house.
Yeah, he just went that way.
And he lost his own business and wouldn't go to work. And there's a couple different explanations. Maybe the stress of owning that home and fixing it put him into some kind of depression. He lost his job and went crazy and then blamed them. Or it was some kind of weird form of possession. I don't know. I've never seen possession. As far as I'm concerned, possession is just a different interpretation of poltergeist. But this is not a poltergeist. This is haunting. Steve Merritt believes it. He said he's seen a few of them. But it's not. I've seen The Bad House, so maybe it's like that, but it's strong enough to move things and have apparitions. So I can imagine it. Maybe it can affect your mind. I mean, it was affecting our minds, giving us bad dreams. So maybe.
And
maybe it could drive you crazy.
And maybe he wasn't like super stable to begin with.
You're right. So it found him as a weak link.
Right. Could be.
Yeah. Took advantage of him or something. Turned him to evil. Or his reaction to it was to become evil. I don't know. Weird shit.
Yeah, so apparently it was getting so bad in the house that Ginger starts sleeping out in the fucking woods, like around the house, like instead of sleeping in, which is that's pretty extreme.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw that, I was like, wow, man, this story's got to be true. That's some weird shit. They were burning the furniture. I could imagine.
Well, that's what I was saying, because like Arnold, like I said, he's just like playing the organ all the time. Zach says, "Damn, he must be using a lot of lube to make that much sound while playing with his organ."
Yeah,
right.
I don't care. I like it.
Man, I should have had an audio clip of that too.
Yeah, we could make it. I don't care. I like it. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want from me?
I mean, you could just do it.
Yeah.
We've seen this episode so many times, and it's like he got the inflection right and everything.
Yeah.
But so he's like not even going to work anymore because he's too busy sleeping and playing the organ all night. So they're basically running out of money, Yeah. And so they all sleep in the living room, like in front of the fireplace. The gas gets shut off. The electric gets shut off. The water pump breaks, and they have to bring water from the lake, like to take baths and flush the toilet and stuff. And they have to start burning all the furniture, like to keep warm, which, that's pretty fucked up. So at this point, Arnold's coming in. Like I said, they're all sitting around the fireplace where they're burning all the chairs. Arnold comes in and like fucking scowls at them, like standing there, and they're just like, "What the fuck, Dad?" Just like, that's not cool. So finally, Ginger just says, "Fuck it," and she walks to the neighbor's house and calls her dad and says, "Please come get us. I'm sick of this shit." So the kids were super, super happy because they were like, "Holy crap, we're getting the fuck out of here finally!" Because, like I said, April said that she and one of the younger sisters too, who wasn't interviewed on the show, she said they had actually like contemplated suicide, like they were at like 8 and 9 years old,
trying to escape the stress,
because they said it was just so fucking horrible and so stressful all the time. So they were just like so happy. They said it was like getting out of fucking prison. Like they get to go with Grandpa. Grandpa comes with his camper, and they're like, "Woohoo, we're out of here." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now this is basically the first part of the story.
Yeah.
And there's something about this, maybe because my experience at that bad house, which is not really the poltergeist, not Mammoth, but the one in right outside of Somerville. I think it was Arlington, near Boston, and it wasn't this bad, but I could kind of imagine that maybe this is plausible. I kind of take this first part of the story as plausible. The claims are not that incredible. Apparitions, voices, feelings of being watched. The one dude goes crazy.
And they said like chairs would move around.
Yeah,
they did
slight poltergeist stuff.
And like windows open and closing on
slight
their own shit
poltergeist
like
type
that.
stuff. And that Yeah, that's within the realm of kind of shit that I've experienced.
Yeah, that's not really all that crazy.
No.
I mean, relatively.
It's just the setting, the way it's shown and the way it's told in this episode. It's fucking very compelling. It sticks with you. Him playing the organ and everything, and it's just the family being in totally just beaten down by this oppressive, evil feeling inside this house, and their dude's losing his mind. It was almost like kind of something like out of The Shining, slightly.
Well, yeah, and I mean, that would be really super scary. Like, even if you weren't going through paranormal shit, like, if you were stuck in this house with, like, a dude that was, like, going insane and you didn't know what the fuck he was gonna do, I mean, that would be, like, really frightening. Like you said, it is kind of like The Shining.
And then, like, an added creepy scene, they all get in the Winnebago to leave, and the dude, what's his name again?
Arnold.
Arnold's sitting up in the top window, up in the top floor, looking out the window, watching them go. He's just sitting there, watching them go. And then it says he leaves the next day. So he spent the night in there by himself. Imagine that.
Then it says Ginger and the kids never hear from him again.
Yeah.
Now, they did not mention this on the show, but some other sources that I saw said that the next day, I don't know if the men with the butterfly nets came and got him, or if he went and committed himself, but apparently he went to a mental hospital the following day.
Okay.
So they didn't mention that on the show. They just said he leaves the next day and blah-de-blah. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just saying I saw some other sources that said that.
It sounds plausible.
That he went to like a
mental hospital.
Because he was acting like a fucking nutcase. So
he might have thought he went crazy. Well, he did go crazy, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe she told him you need to go get help. And then he's like, all right, he goes to the mental hospital. Yeah, weird.
Which I don't know.
Didn't have anywhere else to go either.
That's true.
He didn't have any money. That'd be a trip if they just left his ass in there. No money. He's just squatting in there.
Yeah.
Trying to survive in this fucking haunted house by himself, fucking playing that organ. Well, they couldn't play the organ because there was no power by that point. Remember, the power got cut.
Yeah.
So, man, that'd be a trip.
And then, like, years later,
he's walking
years
around.
later, he'd come out and he'd look like he had, like, big, long fingernails and, like, a
like
big beard. Like, I was going to say, like, a big beard and crazy hair and shit like that, like, with lace and stuff.
Yeah. His whole job for the past 30 years was just walk around in that haunted house by himself at night.
And freak everybody out.
Yeah, freaking himself out in the middle of the night. Silent as shit, no fucking electricity.
Yeah, that would be super
Just
creepy.
The wind howling. Remember that you could hear the wind?
Yeah.
And by looking at the structure of that house, a lot of that wind was fucking blowing through the boards of the walls.
Probably.
I think there was spaces in between some of those boards.
Because it didn't start out being called Summerwind. It only started being called that, like, I think that the dad named it that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, in the 70s.
Okay.
Prior to that, it was called the Lamont Mansion because that was the name of the guy that built it.
Yeah.
Like, or the guy that paid for it to be built.
Now, the part 2 of this story involves Ginger's dad.
Yeah, Raymond,
all right. Now, Raymond actually in the interview seems like a cool guy, and then the actor that they have playing him, he's kind of cool. You know, I like him. He's just like a cool old guy. You know, I'm going to figure this haunting out. And then it kind of like, make a bet. We're going to make a buck off this. He kind of comes across that way, but,
Yeah.
Like, for his generation, kind of a, I would call him, I don't want to, he seemed kind of like a conservative type dude, but he was like into like paranormal and new agey kind of stuff, like, And then his son had just gotten back from Vietnam and was trying to help him rebuild this house, and he saw some shit. So it's a pretty cool. This part of the story is also cool. It gets a little outside the realm of my personal experience, though, so I can't vouch for it. I'm a little more skeptical of certain elements of this story. 'Cause I think there might have been some motive to spice the story up and get some traffic coming through that house. Maybe as a bread and how do you say bed and breakfast? See, this is this shit, man. You get old, you lose your ability to pronunciate.
It's a bread and breakfast.
Bread and breakfast. I'm becoming my dad.
You are kind of.
Next, I'm gonna be thinking there's turkey necks and holding my heart together.
Aw.
Yeah.
Oh well. I mean, you know, it happens to everybody, like you said about death.
Yeah.
Cheer up. But yeah. So like I said, what?
Did we say anything about your job interview today?
No, we have not.
Okay, Jenny landed a really good job today, but it's a little far. Tomorrow she's got another. It's about 45 minutes each way.
Yeah.
It's a game-changing income there, but she's got an interview tomorrow. That's a little bit more even, and it's only 15 minutes away. I think she's gonna get that one. I think she's gonna get them both.
Well, we'll see. I don't really know.
Pressure's off. You don't have to get this one now. If you
because
out, you got one.
Right.
You got one.
It's like, the one the interview I'm going to tomorrow is closer. Like, it's more like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, something like that. But, like, the other one was like 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, we were talking about them living at that dude walking around at night, living in Summerwind and everything. And for some reason, that made me think of, you know how fucking costly these eggs are going up?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I could do in this house is get me a bird cage and put quail in there. They lay eggs. They're little eggs.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take that many. I was doing the research. I think 6 or 7 of those quail would probably lay us, probably 4 or 5 eggs a day. They add up.
Yeah, that's true.
And if they age out, you let some of them hatch, you eat some of those quails. And I think you can let them out. See, in the housing commission, it's not like owning chickens. They couldn't prove those were yours. They don't they're quiet.
Yeah.
And some people let them go during the day, and they come back.
Oh, okay.
And sleep in the cage.
Aw.
And that's something. As long as they're getting fed, they come back, evidently.
Well, yeah, animals aren't dumb.
They're not dumb.
There's like, why would I wander around out here and maybe get food when I can for sure get food going in here?
And then you don't have to feed them because they're out feeding themselves.
Yeah.
And they're little.
Yeah, I've seen them.
And they get too old, I'll just sneak a couple of them off and chop their heads off. Nobody will even know.
Oh, don't show the other quail.
No,
They'll be like,
they don't know. So they don't know, right. And let some of the eggs hatch. And see,
what happened to
man.
Sally? She was just here.
Yeah. I'm gonna look into that. They won't let us have any chickens.
Yeah, they won't let you have chickens.
They won't let you have chickens. People, fucking.
I mean, you can have chickens around here, but not in this neighborhood.
Not in this neighborhood
because they're like, it's too.
Right.
I guess they think it's too noisy or.
They're too noisy.
Yeah, or something. But yeah, quail, you can maybe do that.
Yep, they're quiet. They're quiet.
Isn't there a chicken? Doesn't anybody sell eggs around here, like chicken eggs?
Probably, but I want them for free.
That's true.
And once you get those quail rolling, you get free quail. See?
That's true.
And if you're letting them go, they're feeding themselves most of the day. Then you come back and you give them some feed and bed them down, and just let them lay eggs. I got to find more about it. Yeah. They're cheap, so you just free food.
Yeah.
And it comes back. Get the fuck out of here, and then they come back.
No.
Yeah.
It's nice in here.
Pookie would trip the fuck out.
She probably would.
If it had a big old quail, a big old bird. I'd put them in like a decorative bird cage, like your parrots, kind of.
Right.
But maybe ones with little. Mike Tyson likes to do that. You know that? Pigeons.
Oh, yeah. I did know that.
Mike Tyson raises pigeons.
How the fuck did I know that? I don't know.
Yeah, he loves pigeons.
It's just one of those facts that I remember.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I was going to say that the job interview I went to today was like, it's a dog-friendly office, so a lot of people had their dogs at the office today, and one of the people there, they have a dog whose name is also Pookie.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very funny.
But I think these fucking quail are camouflage, see? Because they don't look domestic. All right? And you let them go, and they just look like wild animals. They're fucking camouflaged. The HOA would never know those are my quail, eating other people's food. And then they come back.
You can't eat sandhill crane eggs, can you?
No.
Because
they're endangered.
There's tons of those around here.
Those birds are too cool anyway.
They are, yeah. How big are the eggs? I don't think I've seen the babies.
They're probably about that big.
But, because they're big birds.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not as big as an ostrich or nothing, but they're pretty big. They're like 3 or 4 feet tall. All right, so where was I? Okay, so Ginger's dad comes into camper and picks her and the kids up. So she tells her dad about all the shit that happened. She's like, I told him everything about what happened at the house, but he didn't really believe it. He was just kind of like, I don't really believe in that, but I don't believe in that paranormal stuff, whatever. So in 1972, Ginger and the kids moved to Ontario. Now, I should note, I don't think they mentioned this on the show, but I found this somewhere else. Because they said that once the dad and the son had bought the house and started working on it, they said, well, it had significantly deteriorated. And I said, well, how long are we talking about? Like, has it been abandoned? When the Hinshaws moved in, I believe it was 1969, I think they were only there for 6 months. And then I don't think the dad bought the house until at least 72. Okay. So it was maybe 3 or 4 years that it was 60s. Empty.
So that was the 60s.
Late
they were
60s,
in there. Okay, yeah.
So it was at least 3 years that the house was empty and like falling to ruin. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like before the dad came. So it was like in way worse shape. And maybe longer, I'm not sure. So so at this point, like Ginger, who wasn't super into the paranormal before, but now she's again become obsessed with it because she's trying to like figure out what the fuck happened in the house, right? So she starts like studying all of that stuff in depth. And she's like, I'm never going back to that house ever again. But the dad, in spite of himself, Raymond, his name is, he becomes also obsessed with it. And when he goes to look at the house, he said pretty much the same thing his daughter said. He said it looked like a wet puppy. Like you just wanted to go over and like comfort it and help it. And so he's like, I'm going to buy that shit. He's going to turn it into like a hotel restaurant type situation. A bread and breakfast, if you will.
Bread and breakfast.
Have some bread, listen to Beck.
Yeah. That's funny.
You know. I don't know. That doesn't sound like a good... Well, eating bread sounds fun. Not listening to Beck so much. But yeah, so as I mentioned, the condition of the house had significantly deteriorated in the several years since Ginger had lived in there.
Hold on.
But what?
Oh, I just wanted to mention, about the job situation. Jenny's job will not really affect the show. We got subscribers where, the shows will continue to come, especially probably Monday Haunting, Wednesday, and Friday. Jenny may not put out the same amount of pre-recorded reviews, but you guys really won't notice a big difference on the show.
Yeah, I mean, we might have to move some of the live streams to like later.
Right.
Like later in the evening, or we might have to like move around a day or something like that. I don't know. But
we'll work it out. There's still going to be a show.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Because the hours, if I end up doing the one that's farther away, like the hours are 8 to 5, so I probably wouldn't be home until 6 or 6:30. Yeah. So we might like have to push the show back like an hour or something like that. But we'll see how it goes. And like I said, we might move. Well, obviously, like if we're doing weeknight shows, like I can't drink as much on them.
You're right.
But because I don't want to have to like wake up early the next morning and be like, I'd be like hangover every day. So that would suck. But I would still be able to drink on the Friday night shows. So that would be okay. So yeah. So Raymond is the dad, and it's kind of confusing, but the son, who is also Ginger's brother, obviously, his name is Ray. And like Tom mentioned, he just came back from Vietnam, and he's kind of looking. He's also a contractor. So they're both looking for some big project. Now, they're not actually living in the house. They're actually living in, they have like a camper, and it's like parked on the property, and they live in that. Because I guess the house is not livable at this point. So they said like when they went in there, they said it felt like weirdly cold in there. And it just kind of I don't know, it felt like weird and eerie and stuff. And he calls Ginger, who, like I said, doesn't live in Wisconsin anymore. She's moved to Canada at this point. And he's like, oh, guess what? I bought that house that you told me not to ever go into. And she's like completely, she's like, why the fuck would you do that? It's like, I told you all the shit that happened there. Like, why? And you just specifically went and bought, oh, it'll be fine. Raymond kind of like blows her off. It's not haunted. It's cool. Yeah, and they said April, who was a kid at that time, she was like, I can't believe Grandpa did that. What a fucking moron. Yeah, she didn't say that, but you know what I mean. So she was mad too that like they bought the house. She's like, I can't believe the house is like evil. What are you even doing there? So the dad and the son have the same problems with contractors not wanting to come out to the house and fix anything. They said sometimes too, like when they would get stuff delivered, I'm assuming like, supplies or whatever, they would just kind of like leave them in the driveway and then like take off. Like they wouldn't even come up to the door and shit. They said, yeah, that happened too. Ray said that he heard growling the first night. Like I said, he's staying out in a camper. He's like, that might have been bears. Yeah. Not entirely sure. Probably it was. The next day, he's working in the house alone when something, and you don't find out what it is until later, scares him so bad that he basically just rushes out the house and won't tell anybody what happened. Like, he goes back to his dad's house, and the dad's like, well, what are you doing home? I thought you were working on Summerwind today. He's like, oh, you know, all the shit broke, and I couldn't get anything done, so I'm just home and back off. Like, leave me alone. You know what I mean? So it was that kind of situation. But really, it was because he saw, like, some fucked up shit, but he wouldn't tell anybody what it was. Now, here's the thing, too, because the dad, Raymond, he got really interested in the history of the house. So he asked a neighbor who apparently knew some shit about it, like what was going on with it. Now, here's the weird thing. On the show, they said that the family that had built the mansion and lived there, like back in the early 20th century, were called the Pattersons. That wasn't their name. Actually, the guy that built the house was named Robert Patterson Lamont, so maybe that's what they were getting at. He was actually the U.S. Secretary of Commerce in 1916, and he built the house initially, like I said, it was initially 80 acres, and he it had been built as like a fishing lodge. It was like a bed and breakfast type thing that people would go to and fish because it's right on a lake. And he later moved into it with his family and, like, converted it into, like, living quarters. And then he also had, like, another little house, like, on the property, like, where the servants lived. Now, apparently the servants thought the house was haunted from the beginning. That they would see apparitions and shit like that, even way back then. So the legend goes. But the Lamonts did not believe this. Until, famously, one particular night, Lamont and his wife are sitting in the kitchen or the dining room or whatever, like having dinner, and the basement door starts like rattling and like opens by itself, and they apparently saw a dude, like an apparition, like come out the basement, and they knew it wasn't a guy because they're like, there's no way they could be anybody in there. So Lamont apparently shot at the ghost. Because what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
And then...
I'd do it.
Because, well, you never know.
Yeah.
And, it might work. And then, so the bullets went right through. It did make the ghost, like, disappear.
In the episode, they show the dude open a damn drawer. He's all in his fucking early 1900s suit. Open up a drawer and pull out a nice fucking...
What's up, Pope?
Pull out a nice Colt 1911 45 and fucking start open fire. Pow, pow, pow. Shoots 2 shots at it. But they got the gun. They got the right gun from the right period.
Wow, somebody was on the ball.
Yeah.
Doing the reenactments.
Yeah, it was cool. They did, fucking 1911 was the best thing. That was the Desert Eagle of the day. Yeah, what's up, Opie?
But yeah, so the bullets apparently went right through and, left bullet holes in the door, famously. And so at that point, I guess that was the first time the Lamonts had seen anything, and they were like, yeah, we're out. And they basically just took off and left the house. So, so that was the story that Raymond heard from the neighbor. So Ginger goes up to visit her dad, goes to Wisconsin to visit her dad, to try to talk him out of these shenanigans. But he's like, no, I already got plans for this house. Look, he drew out all the blueprints and everything. Now she notices that her brother Ray is sitting over there, like, acting real anxious. He's like biting his nails and doing all this other stuff. And remember how I said that she was getting real into, like, paranormal stuff? She's like, oh, I've been getting really into, like, hypnosis. So do you want me to hypnotize you so you can, like, chill out or, like, see what your problem is? So she does it. And apparently, like, his legs start shaking, like, really hard. And then they said his voice completely changed. Like, he was talking in somebody else's voice. And he kept saying, like, creepy shit. Like, he said, I am strong. My children are strong. You are weak.
I thought he said his children were weak.
I had 7 children in there all weak. Yeah. I despise them.
Yeah.
He was saying shit like that.
Yeah.
I am strong.
Yeah.
He was doing
I am strong. My children are weak. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It was pretty creepy. So yeah. Now, Ginger is starting to, like, freak out because he keeps doing that, and it's, like, not his voice, and she's like, hey, what the fuck? So she holds a cross up and tries to exorcise him or wake him up or something. So Ray wakes up. Now, Ray, the real guy, was interviewed on the show, too, and he said, I don't remember shit, you know what I mean? He's like, I woke up, and I just had, like, a little bit of a headache, and they were like, what the fuck was that all about? And he's just like, what? I don't know. So they actually did record him talking. They don't play the actual recording on the show, obviously, because they never do. But they played it back for him, and how creepy would that be?
Yeah.
Like, hearing that, like, in your own voice, but not. Like, saying that kind of shit that you don't remember. That'd be pretty creepy. But yeah, so they played it back for him, and he's just like, what the fuck? I don't know what that is. He's like, I don't even have any kids, so what the fuck? So, at this point, Ray finally admits what happened at the house that scared him out there so bad. He said he was in there working by himself. He heard somebody calling his name, which was the same thing that Ginger had happen. And then he heard 2 gunshots downstairs. And he went down to see what the noise was. He's like, I know that was gunshots because he just got back from Vietnam, right? And he smelled gunpowder in the kitchen, even though he saw the bullet holes in the door, but he's like, they were clearly old. Yeah. So he's like, so I don't know what the hell that was all about. And then at that point, he turns around and he apparently sees an apparition. Now, on the show, they just showed him turning around, and then it was like, you know, ghost cam, like just coming at him, and he's like, ah, and then they cut to commercial, right? Now, he said I saw another thing about it, and I don't know if he said this or if it was in the book or something like that, but they said he saw something that looked like, what did he say? It looked like a rotting corpse or something like that. Like, he said something, so he did actually, like, see an apparition that looked like a dead person or something like that. It wasn't just like a mist or nothing. So, apparently, apparently Ray didn't know the story about the Lamonts, like, shooting at the ghost prior to this. So he had been in the house, he'd heard 2 gunshots and then seen the thing, and he told them about that, and Raymond was like, oh my god, that's like the story that I heard from the neighbor, like, where they shot at the ghost, you know what I mean? So he was just like, oh, well, that checks out. So then Ginger decides she's going to hypnotize her dad. Now, while her dad is under hypnosis, he apparently has this vision type thing where he's in the house and he goes down to the basement and he finds this little wall cavity, like behind, there's like a little rock that comes out and there's like a little cavity behind there. And then there's a box in there. So he was doing some automatic writing. And Ginger said it was really weird because it seemed like he was writing with a quill, like he was pretending like he was dipping the pen in the ink and everything, like a old school person would do. And what he writes is kind of like a land grant type thing from like 1767. That was the date that he wrote down. And he also wrote a name, and that name was Jonathan Carver. Now, after he wakes up, he also doesn't remember anything that he said, and he's freaked out that he saw that he wrote all that stuff down. So they go to the library to research this name. Now, apparently, allegedly, Jonathan Carver was kind of a well-known explorer in the area who, again, allegedly, brokered a peace between 2 warring tribes of Native Americans, and he was gifted a large parcel of land that included, obviously, the land that Summerwind sat on. So apparently this land grant, it was like a deed or something like that, was supposedly what was in this box, and their theory was that he was haunting the house because he was looking for the shit, right? So they're like, okay, well, even though Ginger said, I don't want to go back to that fucking house ever again, but she's like, well, we got to go check and see if that shit is in the basement like you said, like you thought it was in your vision. So they go back to the house. Now they go down to the basement, and they did find a space, like behind, like they pulled a stone out where he dreamed about it, apparently, and there is a cavity back there, but there was nothing in there. So, you know, wah wah. Then they said they searched the whole house after that, but they never could find that goddamn box or the deed anywhere. And they said at this point, they said, you know what, you know, all of our lives have been kind of ruined by this shit, so maybe we should just say fuck it. So they just said, we're just going to leave the house and never come back.
Did they sell it or just abandon it?
Well, see, I read that somebody else bought it in 1983.
Okay.
But I'm assuming it was for sale because, like I said, sometimes they're not real clear on the timeline. Like, because sometimes they kind of truncate a lot of things into like a short time period, so it makes it seem like, oh, it was just like 6 months or something like that. But then sometimes it was like 10 years,
right?
And they don't really tell you that. But so I don't really know like how long it was empty. The weird thing about it is that they said when Ginger bought it, they said it had been empty 40 years. But I don't think it had been empty 40 years because they bought it in 1969. And I think the Lamonts left in... Well, no, like Lamont died in 1948 and they sold it then. And then like another family lived in it after that. So it wasn't abandoned for 40 years, like when they bought it. I'm just saying, like at least like according to what I figured out. So yeah, lightning struck the house, or so they say, or somebody burned it down in 1988. So all that's there, you can still go there. Like a lot of paranormal groups go there still.
Pissing off the neighbors.
Right, yeah. All that's left is just like the basement and like a couple of the chimneys because that's all that was stone. The rest of it was like
the basement's cool. It's got arched entryways in it, kind of like an old stable where you would, I don't know, bring horses. That looked like then it was converted probably to a garage. Probably.
Yeah. It is cool looking. Yeah. Like I said, I was just watching some kind of more recent videos where people were there. Like I said, paranormal groups love going there because you know, it's creepy as shit and everything like that. So, as I mentioned, this is okay. Now, this is what the history behind it was because now I mentioned the Lamonts, right? House was built either 1916 or 1918. I've seen both of those dates. Like I said, it was 80-acre property, blah blah blah. So the servants that the Lamonts had, they specifically said that they saw a woman, like a translucent woman, that's what they called it, like walking around in the driveway. That was what they saw. Now, obviously they reported that a lot of times, but the Lamonts didn't believe them until they actually saw, you know, a man's ghost come out the basement and shot at him and blah blah blah, and then they left. Now, the property was vacant for a while after that. Now, the Lamont still owned the house, but nobody lived in it. Now, Lamont died in 1948, and then the mansion got sold a few times, but I guess nobody stayed that long. And then a family called the Kiefers bought it. Now, the woman in that family, I don't know what her first name was. She's just called Mrs. Kiefer. She moved into the house and she started like not liking it. She said, I just felt like I was being watched all the time. I think it's haunted. And apparently when she left the house, because she was like, fuck this place, and she left all her shit in it. So I don't know if that's true, but that's something that I heard too.
That's why it was still furnished in a wreck.
Yeah, maybe.
It's probably all her stuff.
Yeah. So like I said, it hadn't been abandoned for 40 years necessarily. Like, I think it had been abandoned before 1948 for a little while. But then somebody lived in it, like a couple people lived in it. And then the Kiefers moved out, and then the Hinshaws moved in 1969. And then after that, after the dad sold it, it was purchased by a guy named Harold Tracy and his wife Babs in 1986. Oh, I thought it was 1983. 1986. And I don't know if... I'm assuming they were the ones that owned it when it burned down. So, because it burned down in 1988.
Well, several generations of people have been in and out of that house, and they say that it's a bad house. It was probably a bad house.
Yeah. Now, interestingly, they actually, because I kind of feel like the popularity of it now is probably because of that haunting episode, but in Wisconsin, and actually even kind of nationally, this was known as like a haunted house like before that. Because they said Life magazine did a big kind of feature on it. Well, it was a feature about like the 9 scariest places in the United States or most haunted houses or whatever. And that was back in 1980. Okay. So they mentioned it then. and I'm assuming it looked. I think that's where the most popular, like the most famous photo of it comes from, when it looks like a dump. I think that was from 1980, if I'm not mistaken.
All right.
So so it was known as a haunted house before that. So like you said, all the local teenagers, because it's known as the haunted house, so everybody's going to hang out in there and smoke weed and tell ghost stories and do all that other kind of stuff.
Paint pentagrams and shit.
Paint pentagrams and all that other kind of shit. So yeah, you can kind of see with doing like a lot of vandalism and all that kind of shit. So, I've also heard a story. I don't know when this happened, but one story that I saw on one site said that there were 2 teenage girls and they were canoeing on the lake near the mansion when they actually saw a ghostly figure. It was actually a woman in white waving at them to come to shore. And so they were like, okay, I wonder what she wants. So they get up on the beach in the canoe and they follow her to the house. And then they go inside the house, and then the woman disappeared. I don't know when that happened, but that was another story that I saw. I don't know if the mansion was empty at that time or what. So, So I guess that, like I said, other people had seen, like, apparitions around there and shit like that. So, basically, I kind of feel like... Oh, one other thing that I forget... And they didn't mention this on the show either. And like I said, this would have been really interesting. Okay, so there's 2... really creepy things that they didn't mention on the show. One, April, the daughter, she apparently found a body, like a skeleton or a skeleton or a skull, I'm not sure, like in a crawl space in the house.
What? Really? Didn't hear that one.
Yeah, they didn't say that. But, like, some of the other sources I read said, she said that I don't know why they were looking in the crawl space, or they found this crawl space that was, like, a secret room or, like, a secret closet or something, like some shit was in front of it. And, like, they opened it. Now, I've heard skull, I've heard skeleton.
Okay.
So, I don't know if it was, like, a full kind of thing.
Right.
Now, here's where it gets hinky, though, because they said they found that, and they were like, holy shit, there's, like, a fucking skull. They said it still had hair on it and everything. And they never reported it. But apparently it disappeared. Like, I don't really know what happened to it.
I remember that.
Yeah, because I think I might have mentioned that on the last one, because I was like, what the fuck? Like, why?
Yeah, what happened to that head?
Yeah.
Yeah, where's that head?
It was just... Where's that severed head?
Yeah. You find a head in a crawl space, and well, nobody needs to know about that.
Just gonna boop, put that
Got
right
hair
back.
on it and everything. That's nasty. What happened to that head? No, I'm not. I don't think I buy that. I don't think I buy that.
I don't think I buy that either. Maybe the makers of Haunting also didn't buy it. They're like,
that.
we're not going to talk about that because, like, conveniently.
Yeah, conveniently, we lost that head.
How do you lose a whole head?
Yeah. How do you not call the cops?
That's what I mean. You would think that would be the first thing you would do. Like, if I found a skull in the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that could be like somebody that's been missing for a long time.
Yeah.
Holy shit. The other thing that they didn't mention, which, like I said, maybe they thought this was a little too outlandish, was that Raymond and Ray, the dad and the son, they said that, because, they drew up blueprints because they were going to, fix the house all up and they were working on it. And apparently they would measure the rooms, like to do some work or something, and then they would come back the next day and the room would be significantly larger or significantly smaller than it was before. Like, the rooms would, like, change sizes.
Yeah, I kind of suspect that's more like not knowing how to fucking hold a tape measure. I think that might be
I mean, they were both contractors. You'd think that would be contracting 101.
Yeah.
But maybe not. Maybe... Don't drink on the job, kids.
Yeah.
I don't remember how to use this tape measure. Where's that skull?
Maybe it's more like, wait a minute, what was that reading? Nah, do that shit again. Wait a minute, what?
Wait, is this room 8 feet or 80 feet? How do numbers work?
Grab the other end. Go back over there again. Room's moving. Room's stretching.
Is this room actually stretching?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember these little details that they were talking about, and that kind of added to my skepticism about the second part of the story.
Right.
The first part of the story seems more legit. The claims aren't as wild.
Yeah, because they weren't... Well,
No.
other than finding a skull in the wall and not reporting it.
Is that from the first
yeah,
part
yeah,
of the story?
Because the daughter supposedly found it.
Okay, it wasn't added in later?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know.
Certain elements may have been added
See, all
later.
of these paranormal stories, they're just like so fucking hard to track
hard to nail
down. Because they get repeated so many
Yeah.
times, like on other paranormal websites, and people add details and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we started watching, I think one of you guys like warned us about this, but we started watching on Netflix last night, that 28 Days Haunted thing.
Yeah, we had to change that shit.
Yeah, we didn't even get through the first episode. I'm like, this is dumb as hell.
Yeah. Ghost Brothers was better.
Well,
Because
see,
they let you know that was a comedy. This is Ghost Rednecks. Everybody's a redneck in this one. It's a whole fucking... Which, that's not a bad thing, but I know that they're marketing towards who watches television. That's what I think is what, you know.
I liked the concept of it. Like, I like the concept of going to a haunted place and making them stay there like in isolation for 28 days. That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
You know, but just in practice, it wasn't really that interesting.
It's a bunch of overweight Southern psychics going, did you hear that? I heard that. Did you hear that? Yeah, I heard
I kind of feel like that's every single...
Did you hear that? Dude, I heard that shit.
And then you know they're doing that. What's that box thing called that just goes through the radio frequencies and they imagine
the bullshit box
and they imagine that they hear
the
voices coming through it. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that's just the radio.
Yeah.
I mean, Mango said I was at the Haunted Museum in Nottingham yesterday and got to hold 2 human skulls. That's pretty neat. One time I was at that what do they call that? Just the bodies exhibit where all the body parts are like, you know, they preserved them like with that weird plasticky stuff, and I got to like hold a human brain, so I thought that was like pretty neat, like a real human brain that had been like all plasticized or whatever they call it. That was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah,
I think I saw that in Tampa. But yeah, so I like the idea of like the rooms getting, it's very House of Leaves. I'm into that, but it's just kind of like I don't think that really happened because what. So I kind of feel like that's maybe why they didn't put it in the episode.
Yeah.
Maybe. And again with the skull thing, because I mean, if they really found a skull and they were like legit like called the cops and stuff, because you could check that obviously.
The witness testimony for the first part is pretty compelling actually, because the one that was the daughter, the one that was a little girl, I kind of believed her. Though they didn't let her tell the entire story, she's just chiming in, you know, that he hated us there, you know. It's just kind of a, I don't know. And her mom, she seemed pretty credible. They all kind of seemed pretty credible.
Yeah, they didn't seem like loons or anything.
They just saw some weird shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like some weird shit didn't happen in that house. It probably did.
Yeah.
But I don't know about rooms changing sizes.
Right.
And I don't know what happened to that skull.
And the dad, he said some cool shit, which was true. He's like, you know, how do you deal with this? Where do you go? There's no book on any of this. It's a dimension we're talking about. Nobody really knows. That's absolutely true. Nobody really knows.
No, they don't.
Of how hauntings and poltergeist and all that shit works. You just observe it.
See, I think that's one of the things, you know, going back to like when we started watching 28 Days Haunted last night, that's what I don't like about a lot of those haunting shows is that a lot of them will come out and they're very authoritative.
Yeah, like we know how this shit works.
And
no,
don't. Well, spirits will do this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, how the fuck do you know?
No.
You don't know what the fuck they're doing?
No.
Knock it off. I mean, I would have more respect for them if they did believe that stuff, but then they just came in and said, well, I'm not really sure, but I think that, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that would be fine. But don't come in there and be like, yeah, this is how it goes and this is how it works, because you don't fucking know.
I observed, me and my family, or extended family, and my aunt and uncle, at close range, observed intense poltergeist activity, objects fucking being thrown and I guess teleported and fucking things stacked and things arranged in patterns, and we saw it. Saw some of the stuff actually move. We never could figure out how it was doing it, you know. And you never know for sure, you know what I mean? Fucking what it is you're dealing with, or why or how. But it's just some kind of an exotic physics. Stuart Hammeroff stuff. Yeah. But yeah, it's cool though. It does exist. It's just nobody really knows everything about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure what a poltergeist could do, even though I saw it do a lot of different gags. And it is a trick somehow. It really does do it. It's not an illusion. But from its point of view, it's simple what it's doing. It's not hard for it to do it. And it was slowly getting better at doing certain things. It just started to like mimic a voice. But I didn't want to hear that. I ran from that. Just sounded like a bunch of garbled
Yeah, you don't want that shit talking to you.
You want it talking. Yeah, it's weird.
You zip your lip, ghost.
It's like, I ain't talking to you, bro. Yeah.
Trey says Cindy Williams, who was Shirley on Laverne and Shirley, also just passed away.
Okay.
That sucks. Yeah, that's really sad.
You getting hungry, Jam?
Yeah, starving.
Okay.
Mango says one of the skulls he was talking about that he held is apparently haunted and attached to the person. Certainly got some strange vibes from holding it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I still wonder where that skull went from this house, because what a weird claim to make if you're just gonna go and then I don't know where it went.
Yeah, it's strange.
Must have left it on top of the car when we drove off or something. I don't know.
Found this dead dude, man, and then he's gone. I'm not gonna say anything about it. It's all right. Be all right.
I mean,
we're in the country.
We're just gonna, maybe they just didn't want to get the cops involved.
Yeah.
Or maybe they did actually lose it. It's like, where the hell did I put that down? It's like
animals got it. Left it outside and the animals got it.
Yeah, maybe it's like, ooh, I'm having this.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess we're gonna wrap it up. This was fun to revisit this. 'Cause this is always a fun episode.
We're gonna revisit Hungry Ghosts. With the girls being molested by the Taiwanese ghosts and the fucking Shinto or the Taoist priest. I thought that was cool as shit. We're going to do that.
And that was one of the few haunting episodes that actually took place in like another culture, which I thought was kind of cool because they don't really do that too much. Right. I mean, it's not their fault, I guess. They got to work with the stories they get, but you know what I mean? So we will be back tomorrow evening doing a movie review. We're actually going to be doing the cult classic black comedy from the 1980s, Eating Raoul. So we're going to be watching that tonight, and we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. I haven't seen it for like 30 years, but I remember liking it very much. So thank you everybody for dropping by. Thank you for becoming members, you guys, and trying out my little emojis. I thought that was like pretty cool. Yep. Haven't seen the Smell of Sanctity one yet, but I think that one's. I think it's just like colon's like sanctity. I think right.
It's at the end of the haunting when it's gone.
Yeah, and then woo. You know what I mean? I was trying to find like a little some clip art that kind of looked like Lorraine Warren, but I was like, I don't have time to do that, so I just put like a fucking little rose on there. But yeah. So so we'll be back tomorrow evening, and we'll let you guys know what's going on with scheduling and stuff like that. Maybe I'll know more tomorrow about how we're gonna shuffle the shows around and things like that. But yeah, we'll see you guys again tomorrow night. Have a good rest of your evening, you guys. Good night.